All right, so now it's time to talk about something called arrays in JavaScript. Basically, an array is a data structure that allows us to have an ordered collection. Okay, so it's a way we can create an ordered list of some stuff. So I'm going to start out with a very simple example here. I'm just going to create some variables, and these variables are going to hold ingredients for, let's say, a cake that we're going to bake. So let's start off with something like const. I'm going to go item 1, and that's going to be, let's say, flour. So flour like this. And let's just do a few items. We don't have to do all of them. So let's do const item 2. Let's make this something like butter, okay? And then let's do something like const item 3. Let's make this salt. So what else goes in a cake? You would need eggs. So let's do const item 4. Let's set this equal to eggs. And a few more. So let's do const item 5. And let's set this equal to, let's say, whole milk, something like that. And let's just do one more. So const item 6. This would be, let's say, baking soda. So you need that. So right now, you really wouldn't have a cake. You need vanilla extract. Let's put that in there. Let's just put them all. So let's do const item 7. And let's do vanilla extract. And of course, at this point, you still need some sugar. So let's do one more. So const item 8. And let's go ahead and put sugar in there. Okay. So at this point, I've created basically some stuff that I want to put into a cake. So it would be more convenient if I made this into a nice little list and I could refer to it by one name. So by creating an array, we're going to do exactly that. We're going to create an ordered list. So I'm going to go const and I'm going to just put something like cake mix, and you can put ingredients. I'm just going to put cake mix. And then I'm going to set this equal to, when you create an array, one way you can do this is to put these little square brackets here. This creates an array. There's another way using the new keyword followed by array, and I'll show you that syntax in a moment. So for right now, I can just start typing my items in here, my elements as you call them. So I can either put the variable name here, so I can put item 1, comma, item 2, comma, item 3, so on and so forth, or I could put these strings in there directly. So let me show you both ways. So first, let me use my multi-line selector. So I'm going to hold down Alt and Shift, and then I'm going to come all the way down here, okay? And I'm just going to copy these variable names, okay? And then what I'm going to do with that, I'm just going to come down here. Inside of the brackets there, I'm going to hit Control V, okay, to paste. And then I'm going to use my multi-line selector again. So I'm just going to do this and come down here, and I'm going to put a comma everywhere except for the last item. You could put a comma behind the last item, but it's quite unnecessary. And then I'm just going to delete, okay, until I have a nice little list here. Okay, so right now, inside of this cake mix array, I have the first item, or item 1, which is flour. Then I have the second item, which is butter, so on and so forth. I have salt, eggs, whole milk. And if I want to, I can console.log. So console.log this cake mix. And what you're going to get is you're going to see all these different strings here. Again, if I have item 1, it looks in that and says, okay, it's holding flour. So this right here is going to be flour. Okay. Then this right here is going to be butter, so on and so forth. So let's pop open the terminal. And let's run this guy, and you get exactly that, right? So you get flour, butter, sugar, eggs, whole milk, baking soda, vanilla extract, and sugar. Now, another way you could have done this, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can change this and just put the string in itself. It'll make no difference. So let's say I put flour here, and let's say here I put butter, so butter. And let's say here I put, let's say, salt, so salt. If I pop this back open and clear this and run this, you'll see no change, right? So it doesn't matter if I put the variable in there that represents that string or holds that string, or if I put the string in directly. All right, so let's erase this example and let's get a fresh example going. So I'm going to create an array of my friends, okay? And I'm going to do this using the new keyword. So I'm going to go const new, or actually I need a array name, so my friends. And I'm going to set this equal to, I'm going to use the new keyword. We'll talk more about what this does later on. I'm going to type an array with a capital A. Okay, if you put a lowercase a, it's not going to work. And then I'm going to surround this with parentheses. So inside of here, I'm just going to type my elements. Okay, so just like I did with the square brackets, here I'm going to put some names. So something like Bob, I'm going to type, let's say Steve. I'm going to type, let's say Mary. And then let's keep going. Let's do something like Beth, okay? And then let's do something like Lauren, okay? And if I console.log this my friends, if I open up the terminal here, clear this and run this out, again, you get an array. So you have Bob, Steve, Mary, Beth, Lauren. This is unpopular, you would say. Most tutorials, you're going to see the square bracket notation, and that's what I'm pretty much going to stick with. All right, so let me go ahead and just change this over. So I'm going to grab this part right here and just put the opening bracket, and here the closing bracket. Again, this does the same thing. Let me clear this and run this, same thing. All right, so what I want to talk about now is the fact that arrays use something called zero-based numbering, or you could say they're zero indexed. So basically this means the first element of an array is numbered using 0, or you could say it's at index 0. So if you talk about the position, if you look at this guy right here, okay, your index position is going to be 0 because it's the first element. So whatever the number is that you would normally count, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you take 1 away if you want to get the index position or how it's numbered. So we can use this to grab that element. Okay, so for example, if I put console.log my friends, I can put square brackets here, and then I can put the index position. So if I want the first guy, I want to put 0. If I want the second guy, I would put 1. So let's copy this a few times, and let's put 1 here, and let's put 2 here, and let's copy this a few more times. Let's put 3 here, and then finally we're going to finish this up by putting 4, okay, because there's 5 elements here. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so you're doing this, but you're just subtracting off 1 each time. So you start with 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. So this is going to be Bob, this is going to be Steve, then Mary, then Beth, then Lauren. Okay, so let's pop this open, clear this, and let's run this. And you see you get these guys in order, right? Bob is the first one, Steve is the second one, Mary is the third one, Beth is the fourth one, and Lauren is the fifth one. So just remember when you're working with arrays, whatever the position is that you would think about, if you're normally counting from 1, you got to subtract off 1 to get where it's going to be. So again, this is 0 for Bob, this is going to be 1 for Steve, this is going to be 2 for Mary, 3 for Beth, and 4 for Lauren. Now additionally, let me wipe this and start with another example. You can also change what's being stored in an array. Okay, so you can read what's there, or you can also change what's there. So let's go ahead and do something like const my favorite foods, something like that. And I'm just going to put a few values in here. So let's go with lasagna. And then let's go with pizza. Let's go with fried, if I could spell that correctly. Chicken. And then let's do meatballs. So just 4 values for right now. And all I want to do is just show you again, you can read the first value. If I wanted to get this lasagna here, I can go my favorite foods and I want 0. Okay, and I need to wrap this in a console.log so we can actually see it. So let's do that. And let's do a little console.log in front of it. So console.log. And let's go over to the end, put a little semicolon here and clear this out and run it. And we get lasagna, okay, as expected. But let's say that I wanted to change that from lasagna to something like chicken wings. So what I would do here is type my favorite foods, and then I would put 0. Okay, so again, this is what I want to change here. It's in the position 0 here. And then I'm going to set it equal to something else. So I'm going to put chicken wings. Now, some of you might pause for a second and say, hey, we used const here. What's going on? Shouldn't this throw an error? Well, it's not going to, and I want to explain this deeper in a moment. So first, let's just look at this. So console.log, we're going to go my favorite food 0. So from this line 3 here, at this point, my favorite foods, if you look at the guy that's in the first position or the index position of 0, it's lasagna. Then we change that to chicken wings, okay? And so now when we call this again, now this is going to say chicken wings. And to show you that the whole thing has changed, let's go ahead and also console.log the whole array each time. So my favorite foods, and then let's do that again right here. So console.log. We're going to go my favorite foods. So in this particular case, it's actually changing what's there. I'll show you later on how to just push something in or shift something in based on what you want to do. You might want to slide something down or insert something into a special place. Just based on what you want to do, there's a method for everything. So let's pop this open and clear this and run this. And you see in the first case, we get lasagna. You get lasagna, pizza, fried chicken, and meatballs. In the second case, you get chicken wings. And now lasagna is gone, right? So chicken wings, pizza, fried chicken, and meatballs. Now, what's the deal with const? Let's talk a little bit about that. When you use const with an array, you are allowed to change elements in the array, okay? What you can't do is wipe the whole array out or start with a new array or something like that. So for example, I can't do something like my favorite foods equals and just try to wipe the whole thing out to a empty array. Let's go ahead and clear this and run this. You're going to get assignment to constant variable. Even if I change this to say a few values, let's say I put pizza, so pizza, and let's say I put something like chicken, something like that. If you clear this and run this, you get the same thing, assignment to a constant variable. All right, so let's go ahead and wipe this and start with a fresh example. So I want to show you that an array can hold another array. This is going to be really common in JavaScript where, let's say you have a function. At this point, we're only returning one thing from the function, let's say a string or a number or something like that. But you might need to return a lot of different things. So in some cases, it might make sense to return an array, okay, where you can access the different things that you need. But let's start off with something simple. I'm going to return to the my friends example. So let's do my friends, if I could spell it correctly. And I'm going to set up an array here. And inside the array, I'm going to have an array here that holds the friend's name and their age. So let's start with Becky, and let's say she's 35. And what I need to do here actually is wrap this inside of another array. So let's do that. And then we'll start another array here, and we'll do Jenny, and then she's going to be 27. And let's do another one. So let's do Larry, and let's say, for example, he's 49. And then let's say we have lastly Jack, and let's say, for example, he is, and you can put an expression here. Remember, this is going to resolve to a value. So I can put something like 2021, if I could type it, minus 1980. So we know that if we did the subtraction here, this would be 41. So what happens is JavaScript will evaluate this to be 41, and it'll put in that position, okay? So if I want to, let's say, console.log, this my friends array, let's go ahead and look at it as it is. So let's clear this out and run this guy. And right now you see it as it is. So it holds in position 0, Becky and 35. So this is position 0, this whole thing. Then in position 1, you've got Jenny and 27. Then in position 2, you've got Larry and 49. And then in position 3, you have this Jack and 41. Okay. So if I wanted to access the first guy here, if I put 0 there, I'm getting this whole thing. Okay. So that's what it's grabbing. So let's pop this open and clear this and run this. Okay, you see that. Now, if I wanted to access an element inside of here, so remember this right here, I got to it by putting 0 there. So now let's say I want the first element here. Well, then I want to put 0 again. Okay, so this is going to be like this. So 0 and then 0 again. So that's going to give me Becky. So clear this and run this. And if I wanted, let's say the age, I would put 0 and then 1. So let's clear this and run this, and you get 35, okay? So basically, the 0 here, the first guy, is telling me to go to this guy, so the index position of 0. Notice how there's a comma here, right? So this is the first element of that bigger array. Then when I get into the subarray, that's what the 0 did, then this is the first element, and this is the second element. So this is position 0, this is position 1. So that's how I did 0, okay, again, for the position in the big array, and then 1 to get into the position in the subarray, okay? So 0 and then 1. Again, you could change this up. Let's say I did 2 and then 1. Well, now I'd be at position 0, 1, 2. So that tells me I'm on this one, okay? And then I want position 1. So this is 0 and this is 1. So that's going to mean 49. So let's pop this open and clear this and run this. You get 49. And I know when you first start working with this notation, it's extremely confusing. You just have to practice, and it comes naturally after a while. It's not that big of a deal. So let's go ahead and wrap up the lesson and make a little function that basically shows if you can drink or vote. And I'm just going to kind of get some practice for you using this notation. So let's say I do something like function, and you can do of age, and this is going to take an array, okay? And basically I'm going to get a date from JavaScript. So let's do const year, and I'm going to do this new and then date with a capital D. Don't forget the parentheses, dot get full year, okay? Don't forget the parentheses. And then I'm going to ask a question here. Let's just use an if statement to keep it clean. So if the array, so I'm going to ask if the position of 1. Okay, so I'm going to be passing this in one at a time. So basically when I call this guy, I am going to have something like this. So I'm going to want not 0, but 1. So in other words, I'm asking if in this case 35, okay, is going to be greater than or equal to 21. If it is, I'm going to return, okay, a little string, and I'm going to put $ curly braces. I'm going to reference this array that was passed in, and I'm going to put 0 now because now I'm looking for the first element here, which in this case would be Becky. I'm just going to put is and then $ curly braces array, and then at the position of 1, and I'll put years old and can drink. You can put a little wine emoji. So let's do wine, and then we'll put and can vote. And for some reason I got out of that, and can vote. And for this one, let's do a vote emoji, okay? So basically, if you think about what's going to happen here, if the person is greater than or equal to 21, So again, I'm passing in an array, and the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to pass this in right here. So I'm looking at the first position. This is 0, this is 1. So if this, in this case, would be 35, if it's greater than or equal to 21, well, then I'm going to return what's in the position 0. Well, it's Becky is what's in the position 1, 35 years old, and can drink and can vote. Okay, so again, you first start working with this, it's a little bit tricky, but you just keep working through examples and it becomes very easy. So let's do an else if. So now the case where the person can basically vote but not drink. So let's do array, and then I'm going to do, again, the 1 there is greater than or equal to 18. So let's just go ahead and copy this. I'm just going to modify it slightly. So let's copy this and paste it in. And now I'm going to put can't drink and can vote. Okay, so that's all I need to do. And then else, so this is the case where basically the person isn't old enough to do anything. So I'm going to grab this guy and I'm going to return this, and I'm going to put and can't drink and can't vote. Okay, you can change the emojis based on whether they can do something or not. Maybe you want to put the annoyed emoji in here. So let's put something like this guy right here. Okay, I'm just going to copy that, and then I can just paste that in here and then also here really quickly. Okay, so right now if I call this function, remember I've got to pass in the array, but I've got to do it in such a way that it passes this in. Okay, so I want that to come in there. So when I call this, I don't want to pass in my friends. I want to pass in my friends, let's say 0, if I want to access this one. Or my friends, let's say 1, if I want to access this one. Or my friends 2, if I want to access this one. Or my friends 3, if I want to access this one. Right now, everybody's older than 21, so the first one's going to run. So let's go ahead and see that real quick. So I'm just going to console.log. I'm going to do of age. I'm going to call the function. And then for the argument, I'm going to put my friends, okay? And again, if I just pass this in like it is right now, you're going to have problems, right? So let me show you that real quick. Let's clear this and let's run this, and you get problems, right? So Becky, 35, this doesn't seem to make any sense. So what you want to do here, again, you think about the array and the way it's being passed in. You want the first item here, okay, of the big array. So that's going to be position 0. So I'm going to put 0 there, and now it's going to run. So let's go ahead and clear this and run this, and you get Becky is 35 years old and can drink and can vote. Okay, so let's go ahead and just copy this, and we'll go through all of these. So I'm going to go 1, and then 2, and then 3, right? Because there's 4 guys there. Let's pop this open and clear this and run this, and you get all of them. So all of them can drink and can vote as expected. If you go here and play around with stuff, let's say that Becky is 11 now. Let's say that Jenny is 19, okay? And let's say that this guy, you can put something like 2021 minus, let's say 2009, something like that. So let's pop this open, clear this, and let's run this. And now we get Becky is 11 years old and can't drink and can't vote. Jenny is 19 years old and can't drink and can't vote. We get Larry is 49 years old and can drink and can vote. And lastly, Jack is 12 years old and can't drink and can't vote.